everybody, this is Doc Neeson. I was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland, which is regrettably still part of Britain, and my birth date is 4/1/47. My childhood was actually spent not in Belfast, but touring around Europe and also to Asia. I was born into an army family, so to speak. My father was in the British Army at the time, and I was born in January of 47, and my father had been posted to Austria just after the Second World War, and he was there. So when I was old enough, which was 6 months, we travelled to Austria and we stayed there for I think about 3 years. Dad came from Belfast and Mum was born in Nina in Tipperary in Southern Ireland. So we have the orange and the green, although they were both Catholics in their own way. We arrived in Australia on the P&O liner SS Strathnaver in Adelaide on Easter Thursday of 1960. My parents came out on a migrant scheme. We ended up in a town that was just being built north of Adelaide called Elizabeth, and we stayed in a migrant camp, which the building of which was on the spot where the Adelaide Festival Theatre now is. Eventually, through another mutual friend of my mother's, she knew this family where their son was about my age, which was about 16 at the time. We ended up having a little band that we played locally in Elizabeth. We opened the Elizabeth Men's Working Club on Walmer Road. And out of that I also was able to form a rock band at high school, Elizabeth High. I could play every track off the Stones' first album. I was a big Chuck Berry fan at the time. I'd become a teacher, and it was just at the end of teaching that I got called up. So my training in the army was actually to be an infanteer. So I was drafted into 3 RAR to go to Vietnam because the Vietnam War was on, and so we're talking about 69. I went to an interview for. They were looking for people to go to New Guinea to teach the Pacific Island Regiment, and you had to have infantry training and teaching qualifications. When I came out, I went back to uni and I trained as a filmmaker, and I was looking to be a film director. But when I went into uni at Flinders Uni in South Australia, and in the meantime I'd met up with the Brewster Brothers, and I was in the jug band. We'd written a few songs and had a little bit of success with an EP called Keep You on the Move in Adelaide. We'd all actually just finished uni as it happened at the same time, the various courses we were doing. I'd got an honours degree in drama and English. The reason we decided to keep going was, one, we wanted to stay in music, but we realised that the songs we were writing were really songs for electric bands. They weren't jug band songs. And so we figured what we had to do was to put ourselves through an apprenticeship of learning how to play electric instruments. And so we realised that we had a lot of learning to do if we wanted to be an electric band. So, the easiest way was to do covers, and we just had to play and play and play, and that forced us into becoming a much better band than we were. And then we recorded, and Face. I'm never going to see a Face again.
Described you clearly, but the sky began
eventually we had met Buzz Bidstrup, had been playing with different bands, and he'd played with Chris Bailey, who was a top bass player in Adelaide, and that became ultimately the Angels.
We're putting together a special on the Angels. Can you tell me why you like them?
It's good music, you can dance to it and that. Good stuff. I think it's really good. I don't know how to explain it really. They just go good to listen to. Lead singer's really spunky too. I like the way they act, and especially Kate Jackson. Because I like the personalities.
Actually, we're putting together a special on the Angels, and we just wanted to know, what do you like about them?
Generally unreal. I like Farrah Fawcett. She's really spunky.
You like Farrah Fawcett?
Yeah.
There are people who think they're a rock and roll band.
Wonder why she left.
Probably didn't like playing the drums. Hi, guys. Five at once. The Angels. You want to go around the room and tell us who you are? Starting with Chris.
Yes, I'm Chris. I'm the bass player.
We rehearsed this, actually.
Yeah, and I'm Buzz, and I'm the drummer.
Yeah, I'm Rick. Lead guitar and piano.
I'm Doc, and I sing.
I'm John, and I play the rhythm guitar.
We were a jug band for about 3.5 years, and then changed to an electric band.
We're going to talk about your album track by track here, the new album, and side one, track one's a good place to start.
Begin at the beginning.
On Take Me Home, it's got a bit of a feel about living in the city, had enough of the city sort of feel.
Cities. Do we like the cities?
Is Adelaide that kind of a city? Like, is that right?
Adelaide's very quiet compared to...
No, that was written in Sydney, that one.
Yeah, Sydney's
When it
close.
comes to cities, I'd like to live in the country and come in every day by helicopter. That's my idea. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
There was nobody there, and the telephone was ringing. So I took the call, and I wrote the message for you up on now.
In my search for something to do that made us different, at uni I had studied German Expressionism, among other things, German Expressionism in film. Up until then, most bands were using what I used to call lollipop lighting, and it was pretty much nice, pretty tones and very symmetrical. And so I would get the lighting guy to do sort of more abstract lighting and have things more angular. I do tend to begin a song by writing the lyric first. I write quite a lot of bits and pieces, well away from music, then bring them along to the guitarists, and I used to say, have you got any riffs that would go with this? When we did She Keeps No Secrets, I originally wrote that song after I gave a girl a lift from, she'd run for a bus and missed the bus, and I was coming along behind it, and she was obviously in a hurry, running to get the bus. So I stopped and offered her a lift into town proper. That was the sort of art school up at the old Darlinghurst jail. I didn't know any significant female artists, so just for conversation's sake, I said, I guess you're going to be the next Michelangelo. And she picked up on the artist connection, and she said, oh no, I don't want to be an artist, I want to be an actress. She told me her whole life story and her aspirations, and she said she wanted to be an actress, and she told me her name was Amanda.
She keeps for you. She keeps no secrets from you. She keeps no secrets from you. She keeps no secrets from you.
You just got back from America and from England. How did it go over there, especially in the US?
Well, it was excellent. We had about 5 weeks in America. We did a loop around the major cities and up through the Midwest, based mostly on where radio was picking the album up. And by the time we finished, we had Portland and Seattle with sellout concerts, which in a new country was really exciting.
Yeah, what's it like playing to American audiences as opposed to Australian ones? Especially for the first time when they hardly know you.
Sure. The big difference was that they didn't know the songs or the lyrics that well, but but they were there for a rock and roll night, which is the same as Australian audiences. So, in a way, the biggest surprise for me was that they weren't so different. Stale cigarettes in corridors clings to her clothes, and inside, the memory cuts across his brain. He writes to the unlucky ones, so careful to whitewash the lies. I'm so pleased to meet you. I'm so pleased to meet you. To have this opportunity.
And give us a story out of your doc that takes us back to when you had your gear ripped off in Chicago and Rick Neeson from Cheap Trick came to the rescue.
Oh yeah, he certainly did. In fact, he really saved the day for us. We had everything gone, no guitars even, and Rick Neeson drove in about 90 miles with some guitars. He'd heard on a news item in Chicago that we'd had everything stolen, the whole truck. Later they found the truck under 15 feet of Lake Michigan.
The great thing about what I do and what musicians do is sharing music. Just strumming a guitar or playing with a rock band or a massive orchestra. We were actually able to survive having some pretty full-on rows with each other. There's a lot of passion put into it. As in any life, there's ups and downs. In fact, we've kept going, written some great songs. I'm very honored to have been given all the support that our fans have given us. Would never have thought that this life that I've had has gone the way it's gone so well. That thing of connecting with people is the greatest gift of all, I think.
Never gonna see your face again. Never gonna see your face again. Am I ever gonna see your face again? This is it, folks! Found him with his head inside a tin-pot crown. Told him his speech stank, but took him downtown. Call him agitator, spy and thief. Shut him up in solitary third degree. And they put him aboard a well-wound.
If I wanted to be in a rock and roll band, the Angels would be the rock and roll band I'd want to be in.
I said, I never exist, but you've been wasting your time. Take a long line. Take a long line. Take a long line. Feeling it. Take a long line. Take a long line. Take a long line. Feeling it. Take a long line. Take a long line. Take a long line.
Who is Doc and what's he up to? I'd like to find that out too. Check your keys. 4 doors, 4 doors, 4 doors.